All right, Dalton, this is kind of a special ranking that we're doing right now. So over at pff.com, you can check it out. I'm ranking the top 10 position units in college football. Not just the top 10 players, position units. We're starting off with quarterback room. So again, not just the starting quarterbacks, your backup quarterback, third string, fourth string, all goes into this ranking, Dalton. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to break down my top 10 really quickly, and then you're going to kind of go over it a little bit and say what you like, what you dislike about the list. It is a perfect list, though. I want to let you know that right now, so I don't know how much you'll disagree with. But yeah, we'll do that right now. So at number 10, Dalton, for my top 10 quarterback rooms in college football is Missouri. Now, Brady Cook, in our opinion, is a top 10 quarterback in the country. I believe we both had him in our top 10, had an 80 grade this past season. His backup is Drew Pine, who will be playing for his third school in as many years. He only played 2 games for Arizona State last year due to an injury, but he was Notre Dame starter the year before and earned a 72 passing grade. So because of that, you had a former Notre Dame starter, you have a top 10 quarterback in the country in Brady Cook. Missouri, enough to check in at number 10 on this list. At number 9 for me is Penn State, who has Drew Aller, who in my opinion is the most disrespected quarterback in college football right now. He often receives the blame for the offensive struggles. Really is hamstrung by the environment, though, with the receiving core there. The offensive line is not as good as people think. And then also the play calling last year was abysmal, too. So I think he's the most disrespected quarterback in the country. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the country. His backup, Bo Perbula, had a 79.8 grade on 142 snaps last year. He's a very, very good runner. And then also Ethan Grunkmeyer is a true freshman coming in as well, the number 9 quarterback in the 2024 class. So Penn State's some pretty good depth behind Drew Aller, who I think is a top 10 quarterback in the country. At number 8 is Notre Dame, who for the second straight year will have a transfer from the ACC under center and Riley Leonard, who a lot of people like for the NFL draft next year. Led the ACC with a 2% turnover-worthy play rate over the last 2 years and has 17 rushing touchdowns, which are tied for the most in that span as well among ACC quarterbacks. Steve Angeli, redshirt sophomore, will be his backup. He had a 79.3 passing grade and 49 dropbacks. And then also they have a couple 4-star recruits behind him too in redshirt freshman Kenny Minchie and true freshman CJ Carr. And CJ Carr actually the number 6 quarterback in the country coming out of high school. So Notre Dame at number 8. Number 7 is Florida, with Graham Mertz as their starting quarterback, who had a 1.4% turnover-worthy play rate, third best in the country, 77.9 passing grade, career high. Trevor Sycamore, lead draft analyst, has Graham Mertz as his number 4 quarterback in the NFL draft right now for 2025, which is pretty high praise there for Graham Mertz. But yeah, he's the starter, obviously. And then DJ Lagway is the backup, who was the number 1 quarterback in the country coming out of high school this past year, number 3 overall recruit. So very, very high expectations for him once Graham Mertz is done. And then also the third string quarterback is Clay Millen, who started for Colorado State in 2022, and he had the 8th best big-time throw rate in 2022 as well for Colorado State. So even the third-string quarterback is pretty good as well. At number 6 is Ole Miss, who has Jackson Dart, top 10 quarterback in the country, going to be a Heisman candidate for sure, was outstanding this past season. Walker Howard is his backup, former top 50 recruit in the 2022 class, and then also a couple other former 4-star recruits that Ole Miss has too, in Austin Simmons and A.J. Maddox. So Ole Miss checks in at number 6. Alabama checks in at number 5. Jalen Milroe, top 5 quarterback in the country, biggest big play threat in college football. Had the second best deep passing grade in the country behind only Jaden Daniels last year. Outstanding runner as well. Ty Simpson is his backup. Had an 80-plus grade in 2023. Was also a former 5-star recruit in the 2022 class. And then also a couple other 4-star recruits they have as well, and Dylan Lonergan and Austin Mack, who transferred in from Washington. So Alabama checks in at number 5. At number 4 is Ohio State. Now, Ohio State does not have a proven star at quarterback like a lot of the other schools that we talked about, but they have a lot of options, man. Will Howard, really solid quarterback at Kansas State over the last couple of years for them. He's probably going to be the starter, but behind him, they got Devin Brown, who's in his 3rd year at Ohio State. He's a former 5-star recruit. Julian Sayin, top 10 recruit coming out of high school this year, 5-star recruit as well. He's a true freshman there. He's going to have a lot of expectations on him. Aaron Noland, another true freshman quarterback coming in there, top 5 quarterback overall in the class of 2024. And then Lincoln Kienholz as well was one of the 15 best quarterback recruits in the country in 2023. So I mean, they have 5 quarterbacks that a lot of other schools would kill for to have in their quarterback room right now. So Ohio State, again, not a proven star, but they have a lot of options in that quarterback room. So they check in at number 4. This is a hot take because I think a lot of people would have that number 1, Dalton. Texas is number 3 for me. Quinn Ewers, obviously top 5 quarterback in the country, really improved this past year, had an 85.6 passing grade, which was 10th among all Power 5 quarterbacks. And then also, even though Quinn Ewers is there, even though they have a top 5 quarterback in the country, even though they have the cover athlete of EA College Football 25, so many people cannot wait for Quinn Ewers to be done at Texas because his backup quarterback is Arch Manning, who was a number 1 overall recruit in 2023, but more importantly, the next in line to the Manning quarterback dynasty as the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning, the grandson of Archie Manning. He's the next in line there. And also Trey Owens is there as well, who's a top 20 quarterback recruit in the country in 2024. 2 is Oregon. They have Dylan Gabriel as a new starter, even after losing Bo Nix, who's a first-round quarterback. Dylan Gabriel had a 91.9 grade this past season, which only trailed Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix in the country. He's my number 2 quarterback in the country. Dante Moore is the new backup quarterback, had high-level arm talent as a true freshman, and was a former 5-star recruit as well. And Austin Novosad is the third-string quarterback, and he was a top 10 quarterback in the country in the 2023 class as well. And then at number 1 is Georgia, who has the best quarterback room in the country because they have the best quarterback in the country in Carson Beck. He was outstanding this past year, and like I said, both of us have him as the number 1 quarterback in the country. But behind him, they still have 3 guys who were top 10 recruits in the country coming out of high school in their respective classes at quarterback, and Gunnar Stockton, Jaden Rashada, who transfers in from Arizona State, and Ryan Puglisi, incoming true freshman this year as well. So Georgia checks in at number 1 on that list. So I've talked for a long time here, Dalton, on this. What do you think about this list now?
There's 2 things that stand out to me. I'm going to go with the first one first, right at the top. I think there's a serious debate between the top 2. And I think it's in part because I really believe in Dante Moore. I'll be honest with you. I think we saw some good flashes from him, I believe, as a true freshman last year. He's got a big enough arm, man. He's got an absolute hose. He did well in the play-action game under Chip Kelly. I think Oregon's offense fits him really well. And if Gabriel went down for a game or 2 even this season with not a whole lot of experience in Eugene for Moore, I think he'd be able to win games. I think you've got Jordan James, you've got Tej Johnson, you've got Evan Stewart, you've got Patrick Herbert to work with. You've got a lot of guys. Terrence Ferguson, another tight end, maybe the best pass pro offensive line in the country. Again, I really believe in Dante Moore's ability to succeed in that environment. I would heavily consider putting Oregon number 1 instead of Georgia, because they have Gabriel and Moore. Right this minute, I would trust Dante Moore to win a game more than any of the Georgia backups, although Georgia's a great environment to be in, too. They're going to have defense. They're going to run the ball. They've got Kirby Smart. They have everything going for them, too. But I've seen Dante Moore, and yes, there were some struggles, and UCLA had quarterback struggles in general last year. I think they played 4 different guys at different points in the year, and Moore was the first of that bunch. I don't know really that he should have been benched. I know there was some struggles, especially in the Utah game, but it's hard to win at Utah, and he's such a young kid. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I would really consider putting Oregon ahead of Georgia. I'm on board with Texas at 3 because we haven't seen Arch a whole lot yet.
Yeah.
But Oregon, I would sit here and think about for a long time probably putting Oregon at 1.
Yeah, I really debated that, man. They actually were number 1 initially, and then I changed it almost last second to Georgia. I thought about it, and I was like, I think Carson Beck, I'd much rather have him than Dylan Gabriel. Yes, Dante Moore is pretty clearly a better backup than anything that Georgia has right now, in my opinion. But, I mean, they have, like I said, 3 guys who were top 10 quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school behind Carson Beck. So I think Georgia has a better number 3 quarterback and the number 4 quarterback. So I think Georgia's a better starter, better third stringer, and better fourth stringer. I think Oregon, the only thing they have better is a better second stringer. It's close. It really was close between those 2. But that's why at least I had Georgia number 1, because like I said, they have the better starter, third stringer, and fourth stringer. Anything else that you have from that list right now?
I'm just curious to see, we have so many big name recruits that we've yet to see play yet, right? I look at Texas, I look at Ohio State, even Georgia with Rashada as a big time recruit. Moore was a huge recruit, but I look at Arch Manning and Julian Sayin and DJ Lagway. These guys have massive 5-star hype. coming into college. We've yet to see them play. You have them in the top 10 of the list because of physical talent. I get that, right? When you're projecting backups, that's all you can project. I'm just curious, not just for this list, but down the line, which of those programs, like big time, like Florida, especially to me, they need in the worst way Lagway to be that guy, right? Like the best quarterback they've had since Tim Tebow. Because this year, if they have another losing season this year, Max, it'll be the first time in almost 90 years that they have 4 straight losing seasons. Like, Florida cannot afford for Lagway to not work, right? Or even Ohio State, right? We talk about like the one question, even though Will Howard is solid, the one question is they're like A+ at every other position, but not at quarterback. Like, if Sayan is an A+ talent and an A+ quarterback, you're talking about Ohio State being the best team in the country. Like, like national title favorite, I think, no question. It's just that thing. So to me, which of your massive 5-star guys lives up to the potential? And obviously there's all the Manning hype in Austin too. You can't blame them for that. They have a Manning. We've seen him in short work. We've seen him in spring games look really good. What do all these guys look like once they really get on the field?
Yeah, that's going to be huge, right? And that's why they were all on this list. And that's why quarterback room, if we do more of these rankings, my position unit rankings, a lot of the other ones are just based off production, obviously, besides just one player. Quarterback room is tough because it's just, okay, you have the starter, and you could go off production for that. But then after that, it's like nobody else has played. So then you can only really go off of recruiting rankings and how these guys were rated coming out of high school. So, that is huge. And that's why recruiting plays such a big part in at least this ranking, because of that's all you can do for the backup quarterbacks right now. So, it's going to be huge for Arch Manning. Lagway is huge. And honestly, for Florida, you need him to hit his ceiling for sure. But, man, if you have a losing season and say Billy Napier gets fired, which is definitely possible, you need him to stay. Like, you need him to not hit the transfer portal. I think that is also a big thing for them, too, is that you need DJ Lagway to be willing to stick around if all goes wrong for Florida this year. And it could, because of how difficult that schedule is. I mean, they should be hoping for a bowl game, honestly. That should be their goal, is to make a bowl game. And so that's why I think Florida with DJ Lagway, he's a huge, huge player for that program. I don't know if there's a single recruit in the country that is more important than DJ Lagway, incoming true freshman, because he won't be the starter this year, like other true freshmen will be, like Jeremiah Smith, for example. But he is so important for the future of that Florida program, who needs a revival right now. And I think he could definitely be the guy to do it. But, I think that's a really big part of that as well. Is there anything else in that top 10, Dalton, that caught your eye, or are we all good?
No, I like the mix of teams with massive recruits in waiting, and then you have like some guys who've played before, right? Like Drew Pine behind Brady Cook at Missouri, right? Like I kind of just like some of the teams in here that have an experienced backup, right? Like Oregon with Dante Moore. But I mean, and even the fact that Missouri's in this top 10 on the strength of Brady Cook, I mean, arguably the most improved quarterback in the country last year. You look at his grades, just very quietly started to put it together, a little bit safer with the football. And Missouri returns their top 5 receivers from last season, including the best receiver in the country. So I really like Missouri being included here. I like the fact that there's a couple of teams like them and Oregon, and I know Notre Dame. Didn't Angeli played in the bowl game last year against Oregon State?
Yeah, he did.
I like that there are some teams. It's a mix of teams with big time prospects and guys who have played before. And even, to be honest with you, I think an interesting name in Alabama is Austin Mack, right? Kalen DeBoer, bringing him in. I'm not saying at all that Milrose getting benched or nothing. He got undeservedly benched last year, right, for a week. But I think Austin Mack, too, could be very interesting for the future in Tuscaloosa with Kalen DeBoer, too.
Absolutely. And I think Ty Simpson is probably the favorite to be the starting quarterback after Milroe is done. But, Austin Mack's a guy that they really are a big fan of. He's a huge, huge quarterback, dude. He makes Dylan Moreau look small, honestly. I got to look at at how big he is right now. 6'6", 226 pounds, Austin Mack is. So, he's a tank for sure. But, Alabama, man, they're going to have a really interesting year next year with Kalen DeBoer, and I can't wait to see what he does with Jalen Moreau. But, that's what I got for at least my top 10 quarterback rooms in college football. Hopefully we'll break down more of these position unit rankings later on in the offseason. But again, check them out at pff.com. We have the top 10 quarterback rooms out. We got top 10 running back units out, top 10 receiving cores out, and top 10 offensive lines out as well. Moving on to defensive lines coming out very soon as well. So, that's what we got for our top 10 quarterback rooms in college football heading into next season.